G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. Yes, after getting my face ripped off this week in the in the stock market, I was really grateful to be attending this game. This was I was actually so happy by the end of this game watching the Waratahs play with something that I thought was missing in the last couple of rounds, and that is the determination to pursue the goal they set for themselves before the game. Stick it out all the way to the end, right? I think Morgan Turanui talked about this in the commentary that the team wanted to get a bonus point win out of this match to keep their potentially making the playoffs alive. And yeah, they fought all the way till the bitter end. Moana Pasifika came out physical and just pushed the tempo super hard with quick taps, 2 tries with quick taps, and just physically belted the Waratahs. And despite that, that physical challenge that I you know that 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 fatigue that was built in throughout the game for the Waratahs. They stuck it out to their game plan and finished up with a bonus point. With the bonus point that they were aiming out to get, and considering how hard the Moana Pacifica was coming back at them, I was completely expecting the Waratahs to go down the prevent route, right? Prevent is American word for playing against the clock and kicking goals and super safe like they did against the Brumbies. I was fully expecting them to go down that route, but no, they stuck to the game plan, and I was super happy to see. Yeah, really, yeah. Yeah, don't get me too excited. I feel like maybe we can beat the Crusaders next week, but I believe it when I see it. Won't be, I'm not going to get too far ahead of my excitement. But yeah, I do think that, if you play the style that you continue to work on the areas, like we saw the Waratahs work on a number of key areas in this game, right? So the scrum, even though it wasn't really working that well, in my opinion, and I felt like there was a number of 50-50 calls that had gone towards the Waratahs. Obviously, the referee, Angus Maybe, not the it's relatively new in the referee arena. There was a number of scrums where I felt like the Waratahs just wheeled immediately on the Lusair side and didn't really get enough full momentum to warrant a penalty. And there was a number of penalties where I felt like the Waratahs didn't quite assert enough dominance to get that penalty, but Angus maybe thought it was good enough. And hey, if you back yourselves, you show confidence, and sometimes that's just gonna work out for you, right? It's 50-50, and the referee didn't really want to reset the scrum again. You're just gonna get the call because you've shown confidence and you've showed assertiveness, and you get into the referee's head that you've got the dominance in the scrum, and whatever is happening or whatever's going wrong, even the scrum just wheeling on the same spot, it's the referee still considers that that you are the ones that's getting the benefit of the doubt, right? One of the things that I was really interested. I watched the warm up and I got a bit of a footage from the Waratahs doing a kind of like a warm up scrum regime. Now this is very different from how the Springboks do their warm up scrum, where they would engage and hold their position and just keep the pressure on, and they do this thing where they sink and they just keep sinking down again and again and just holding the position and then just push as hard as you can without actually going forward. Obviously, the Waratahs for the whole season, we've seen the whole strategy around the scrummaging is hit and chase. Even though you're not supposed to do that, it's technically if you hit and chase too quickly, it's actually a penalty. You have to hit and then wait for the ball to come in. But the Waratahs for the entire season has been just hit and then the ball is immediately fed into the scrum and then they chase it through from that dominant hit. And I saw it again in their warm up as well. So I'm just going to show you the video for their warm up, which I thought was really interesting, and then we'll talk about it as we look at the warm up. So let's go to the display capture. There we go. So let's have a look at this warm up. So you would notice that the Waratahs, there was no calls. It's just engage and chase. And technically this is not allowed. It's already chasing the field. That has been their strategy for the whole season. And to be really honest with you, this is probably how they got the referee on their side, right? To show dominance, to show urgency, to show that they are trying to take control of the scrummaging, even though in theory, in theory, and a lot of the scrums that I saw, they probably didn't deserve the 50-50 call, and the referee should have called it a penalty, should have called it a reset, or maybe even a penalty against the Waratahs for wheeling the scrum illegally. But hey, it worked out for them. But just something that I'm not sure if this is going to work against, against the referees like Ben O'Keefe, right? I just don't think Ben O'Keefe is going to call some of the scrum, and I can't fully understand the intent and the strategy that they have at the scrummaging. But yeah, I just find that a bit interesting, right? It's not the same as the Springboks is the standard, the gold standard, right? The platinum standard, the diamond standard of scrummaging, and they don't hit and chase. They hold and they squeeze, they hold and squeeze, they sink, and they keep the pressure, ramp up the pressure every step of the way, and then whilst staying composed. And I think that the Waratahs, I think that the Waratahs scrum may not work against a different referee in the future. Again, the Waratahs, like I said, I was really impressed that they didn't just kick the penalties. They backed themselves to work on their set piece, the line out as well. Some of the lineouts weren't too great. There was it did show like there was a bit of a dummy more. It just like the pass didn't go to place. Still, like lots of polish is needed, but it's good to see that they're trying, and good to see that they're backing themselves, and they're not just like, oh, let's just take the 3 points and give everybody a break, right? And then look at each other and think about what we do next, right? They were, they took the game into their own hand and took the agency for themselves, and not letting the referee or whatever to kick and pray, and for the referee to blow the whistle for them. So that was really good. And again, even if it doesn't work now, if you keep working on it, you keep working on the line out, like the dummy more that didn't work out, eventually you're gonna work, right? Eventually you're gonna start get better and better at this, and so I'm just grateful that they did work on it. Again, the overall attack was pretty tight for the Waratahs. There was it was one or two passes. The back line was a little bit too flat, in my opinion. There wasn't enough depth to really, shuffle up the defense a little bit. That the Moana Pasifika don't really have a huge rush defense style anyway. So if you're flat and then the opposition line is not rushing, and you're just basically living like, you're basically just having two lines right there. There's no space being created. Sometimes you're flat, if the opposition is rushing you really quickly, you can create space by going over, or just like, short ball, doing an understrun sort of thing. And if they are not doing any of that, you need to be actually deeper and try to bait the defense to come out and get this, disconnected amongst each other. I just don't think the Waratahs were doing that. It was a little bit raining, but I just still don't think there was enough adventure to go wide. And obviously with, injuries to Swatli'i and some of the players being shuffled out of position as well, could be the reason for it. But I just think that, again, just still plenty of work to do. There were times when the Waratahs had a penalty advantage and they didn't go for the cross kick, didn't roll the dice, right? They just kept on, had the forwards piling in, which is good. But there will be, once you get the penalty, you needed to take it a little bit more. It's good that they didn't just lose the ball, right? It's good that they were able to retain the faces for so many times. But when you do get that penalty advantage, it's time to roll the dice. And I can just see like Andrew Callaway on the sideline, got his hand up, wanting for a crossfield or something, and nothing happened this game. So that's another thing I think that can be expanded upon for the Waratahs. If so there was no crazy crossfield kick, but I do think that the ambition was there for the team to keep the pressure on, and the resilience and determination is something that you can't just pick up overnight. You have to consistently push it to get yourselves truly into the brackets of a resilient and strong team like the Crusaders, right? So next week will be a very good test, and it'll be very, very interesting to see if the Waratahs are going to keep this up for the next few games, which I really hope that they do. For Moana Pasifika, obviously the news, I actually missed this news because I had just so much crazy stuff happening in my life. That they apparently was announced that they were going under. They a few weeks ago they tried to get a game in one of the islands, like in Tonga or something, but they just couldn't find enough sponsors to take the game there to one of the islands, Samoa, or I think it was Samoa, Tonga, one of the places. Just couldn't find enough sponsors to take them there. And obviously New Zealand Rugby is funding Moana Pasifika, and I just don't think that they feel like, yeah, they feel like they would they this was worth venture, worth the time and money for them. It is a little bit of shame. I think it's the just having that that Pacific Island culture, uh, on display, like we saw tonight in the form of the I don't know what the war dance, right? It's not the haka. That thing that maybe you can call it the haka. It was just really really nice to see. I think it's just such a iconic, view, iconic scene. Just that alone surely is enough to attract audiences. But it's just, yeah, just stuff like that. Just really makes the competition. It's like gives a lot of character to the competition. But for some reason they didn't think that's worthwhile, because I think in New Zealand Rugby was really hoping for the club to be taken over, like Fijian and Jura, right? The Jura was originally funded by Rugby Australia. Now it's taken over by Fijian government essentially. They were really hoping for one of the islands to take over this team, and it's so that New Zealand Rugby could stop paying the team out of their own pockets essentially, and really focusing on in their own stuff. But yeah, it is really sad to see them go. But they will come back. They could come back sometimes in the future. It's not the end of the day. Like the Western Force have made a comeback. I was, some of the one of the guys was talking to me. He reckons that they could move Moana Pasifika to Hong Kong to open a team in Hong Kong, which would be great. I think a lot of money could be made, and they're still in our time zone, and they would just, there's so many expats there. With the World Cup coming up next year, Hong Kong playing Australia, could potentially set something up for an expansion there. But I just don't think they're going to put Moana Pasifika there. They might put a different team there. I thought maybe they can move the Melbourne Rebels to Hong Kong, or maybe to Japan. I thought that would be a good idea to move the Rebels to Japan or something, just to get some extra spice into that competition and give some more access to our players to play in a different arena as well. And just to have a presence of rugby in Melbourne, it's also really really nice. One of my friends actually told me he had like clients from Japan. This was when the Sunwolf was in the competition, and all they wanted to do for the whole week is asking them, can we go to the Sunwolf game this weekend? And they're like, are we going to talk about business? Oh no, talk business, but Sunwolf game. They really really love the rugby in Japan. That I wanted to see the Sunwolf play. And it's more important than actually talking business for a lot of these Japanese visitors that they were hosting. But yeah, it is like it really breaks the barriers to a lot of different pathways. But yeah, it's a little bit shame. But never say never. They will come back one day. I think for sure. Again, this game had a bit of a lightning break, just like the the Lions Tour test. And I was actually a little bit worried. I thought the Moana Pasifika could take a break and come out and just go super hard. They're big, all the big boys, getting some extra oranges in their body and some some sugar, and then they're just gonna come out and belt you for 10 minutes. And I really thought the Waratahs was potentially gonna lose this one. There was one point where if they didn't hold up the ball over the try line, it looked like they could have scored actually. The elbow was on the ground. The ball may have touched the ground. I'm not sure how the referee didn't call that. That could have been a try. But yeah, there was a few questionable referee decisions, to be honest. I swear to God, the Waratahs early in the second half scored. There was, I think it was maybe Angus Scott Young scored, and then the referee maybe said it was a double move or something. Again, the referee's supposed to speak to the live microphone. A lot of times he just didn't, so we're not sure. We saw it on the big screen, we saw it on the replay. And then the referee just says, no, keep on playing. So the Waratahs did score again later, but it was just a bit interesting. I thought the Moana Pasifika potentially scored there as well. And the Waratahs did fight back and score the bonus point at the end. But yeah, it was just some crazy. Yeah, I don't like the referees rushing through the decisions. I really feel like it was just mass confusion as a live audience. Like, surely everybody see this being scored. There was knock-ons as well, clearly knocked on. There were just some bizarre decisions, I think, the referee. The Moana Pasifika had to play with 2 yellow cards as well. And despite the 2 yellow cards, they were able to hang in there and put the Waratahs under quite a bit of pressure. So all credits has to go to the Moana Pasifika team as well to really step in up. And finally, the Prince of Sussex, the Prince Harry was there. I was able to see him with my camera zoomed in one of the corporate boxes, and it was quite cool. I think the Prince he left at half time, so not a real rugby fan. If he should have stayed and enjoyed the magnificent finish that we all witnessed. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Pretty happy, and as long as we haven't lost, I guess I'm happy. Let's have a look at the match stats of the game. 5 tries to 2, 518 meters to 382. 167 carries for the Waratahs, really belted that. 119 for the Moana Pasifika. 14 turnovers conceded for the Waratahs, 16 against Moana Pasifika. 168 tackles, made 34 missed tackles. So the tackle miss count is a little bit high for the Tars. 244 for the Moana Pasifika, 31 missed tackles. More tackles made and fewer missed tackles. So Moana Pasifika did better in terms of tackle completion rate there. 23 kicks in play for the Waratahs, 25 for Moana Pasifika. Sid Harvey had a bit of a he scored 2 tries, to be fair. Had a bit of a tough day in the office with goal kicking, 2 out of 5. Could have cost the game. It was that close. 792 kick meters from hand to Moana Pasifika, 793. Lineouts, 17 lineouts for Waratahs, 2 lost. 7 lineouts for Moana Pasifika, 4 lost. So plenty of pressure there. No scrum loss for both teams. I thought there were a couple of scrum penalties to the Waratahs on their feed. Again, the hit and chase paid off for them. There was one time where they did the hit and chase and Moana Pasifika kind of just pulled back. And it was actually ended up, it was Moana Pasifika's feed. It was ended up in a penalty against the Waratahs. So definitely backfire at least once in this game with that strategy as well. 10 penalties considered for the Waratahs. Would like that to be single digit, but 10 is not too horrendous. 11 for the Moana Pasifika and 2 yellow cards. There was a lot of build up, like repeated penalties as a result of the pressure from the Waratahs, which was exactly what you wanted to see. So let's do a quick points recap of the game. 15 minutes into the game, the Moana Pasifika started out super hard. They had a penalty, went for the line out, wasn't happy to just kick 3. There was another penalty advantage right in front of the goalpost. Quick tap from Mata Vao, the number 9, who just ran straight through to a bunch of unsuspecting defenders. 7 points to 0. 7 minutes into the game, there was a yellow card to Vaihu, the winger, for a high tackle. The 16 minutes into the game, the Waratahs fights back. Lots of crash in the middle of the pack and picking drives, and eventually the ball came out to with a cutout pass. Not a cutout, one cutout. There was a crash in the field, and then pass out, quick ball out to Riley, who just ran like a bit of an angle, ran through a gap. 7 points to 7. 19 minutes into the game, there was another penalty to the Waratahs in front of the goalpost. Another quick tap from Moana Pasifika for the same guy, Matavao, who went in for the second try. 14 points to 7. 24 minutes into the game, the Waratahs was building. I think there was for quite some time now. So they went for like the short side, came back to the middle, and then back to the short side again. And Harvey got a quick hand pass. He dives into the corner for the try. 12 points to 14. That's the halftime score. The Moana Pasifika led the Waratahs by 2, 14 points to 12. Second half start, 52 minutes. The Waratahs kept on applying pressure despite a number of botch opportunities, in fact. And eventually, it looked like the Waratahs was going to just, potentially lose. Should have taken the 3, I think people might be thinking. But they backed themselves and kept on the pressure. And eventually, they got a penalty warning against Moana Pasifika. And following through that penalty warning, they followed that through for I think it was a more try, or maybe a pick and go try from Isaac Kalea. And then, as a result, Tom Savage was also penalized for this from offside, I think. He got sent off the second yellow card for repeated penalties to sustain pressure. So even if you don't score, sustaining pressure will give you some additional benefits there as well. After this, in the 68th minute, there was more pressure from the Waratahs, not happy to take any 3 points. The board eventually went to Debrasini. He threw a massive cutout, like 3-player, to sit Harvey again who jump into the corner, score a point, 22 points to 14. 75 minutes into the game, the Moana Pasifika was still, 22 points to 14. If they score a converted try, they will pull up to, 7 plus 14, 21, right? Is that right? Yeah, 21. So they will be just 1 point behind. So they really needed a try here. They were fighting, and then they went over the try line, physical push over the try line, and the Waratahs held up the ball. And it looked like maybe the elbow would have touched the ground and wasn't quite able to ground the ball there. So it was really close. And then finally, the Waratahs wasn't relent. They had penalties again right in front of the goalpost. I thought the old days of the Waratahs a couple of weeks ago, they would have taken the 3 and made sure that, considering how close it was for Moana Pasifika to score just before, they could have taken. I thought they might have taken the 3 to just say, "Hey, we're happy to walk away with the win." But no, they went to the line out and backed themselves, and they get a bonus point try at the end there with the Moore, and the Moore was really well set. Just patient, slowly wiggled forward. Some of the backs joined in, and then Fainga'a, the veteran, goes in for the try. Final score 29 points to 14 with a bonus point for the Waratahs. Yeah, I really needed this break, this win, to just clean off the horrendous week they've had. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll post some pictures up on Instagram later, and have a good one. Cheers.